Welcome to the Daily Grind, where we turn coffee into code and our vision into ship features. Now, if you remember last time, we were working on the rotation of the ship through this railed system. Today, we're working on turning that ship and making it look more realistic. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to the Unity devlog. The rail path is built. What we did last time is we made sure this ship was going along the rail, that we could kind of have a start and a finish line. Today, we're gonna make that feel a bit more alive. If you see here in some of this, I'm gonna scrub through it. We've got some movement here at the beginning, which is pretty cool, banking around these corners. We really went into detail, and you can see at the bottom here, all of this model rotation is what we're dealing with, right? But as we move along, we stopped getting that model rotation. So you can see in this cavern or this canyon, we're kind of just moving straight. This area, we're moving straight. There's no banked turns. There's no fun engagement in those areas. And even towards the end, we're kind of just turning, really plain and boring. So that's what we're going to work on right now. Let's start here in the beginning and make sure this kind of idle area coming in looks a bit more interesting. Now, some things I think we can do here. I'm going to go into the player rig itself. Let me move the camera over a little bit so you can see the player rig. And what we were doing is we were animating that player rig itself, right? That's where the camera exists. That's where the player, the probe, everything exists in there. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna click on player ship, go back to that timeline, and we're gonna make sure that we're moving along that player ship instead of moving just the player rig. So I'm gonna go into our system. Let me get back the terrain system. So we're trying to find here the timelines. We're going to click the timelines. We're going to go to master timeline, and I'm going to lock this view right here in the right corner. That way, when I go to the player ship and I open up this animation sheet, you'll now see that the main animation that I'm working with here is going to be the player model animation. So when I click on player ship, that's the one we're going to animate in the specific area. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if you're on top of some of these areas here, you may want to use this symbol to go left and right to click through that animation, okay? Because if you just drag this cursor on top and you think, okay, I'm going to edit that animation, you probably will create another key instead of editing that animation. So don't do that. If you're in between here and you want to go to the next one, click these buttons to go left and right, okay? But let's go right in the center here. I kind of want to get maybe two areas of movement. So I got the player ship. I'm going to rotate it on, let's see, it's maybe it's going to start flattening out a bit, or maybe I come down sooner. Maybe I go, like I said, to that first one and I have it a little further down in rotation. Okay, so we're kind of heading straight down. I'm gonna hit the record button. I'm gonna hit update. Actually, it already has, let's see, I think it already has a key there. So let me do this instead. I'm gonna go back here, see that key. I'm gonna rotate it down. Okay. It is taking it. Now, we're gonna go towards, I don't know, a few seconds in, and we're gonna change that rotation to be slowly starting to level off, right? And then even more here, just a little bit. And then I'm gonna click next and make sure that we are pretty leveled off. We've slowed down quite a bit, okay? Now, one thing I might wanna do in these keys is maybe give it a little left and right fluctuation. Not rotation exactly, but maybe this kind of rotation, right? So maybe I'll go to the next one and kind of give it the other rotation. I don't know, we're not coming in perfectly stable, right? We're fast. Okay, yeah, I think that looks pretty sweet. Now we need some kind of rotation here. We've already zoomed up a little bit. I'm going to change the rotation again to make this feel a bit more alive that way. And I'm gonna go here and level it off just a little bit the other direction. But I also want to tip the nose up, okay? So now you'll see we've got a little more movement in here and we're tipping the nose up. Now in that, I actually want to swing the wings to the right a little more, just like that. So there we go. Kind of like we're moving through this area, okay? And you can see where it gets stiff really quick, right? So, okay, now it's stiff in this area. Maybe we point the nose a little higher and the wings a little more that way so that we know we're trying to come over this ridge, right? All right, boom. Okay, now we're getting stiff again right in here. And we need the nose a little higher again. And we need to really crank on this, I think. So let's see what that looks like. We're coming in. I feel like the nose needs to point down a little bit as far as the rotation angle, like maybe like this. And then we can kind of get rid of some of that, there we go, some of that kind of eccentric, angle that was kind of a little rough. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so yeah, we're coming up over this area. And then around here, we're probably gonna start pointing the nose down because we wanna get past this area. And then we're gonna start going down even further. I'm gonna go to that next frame, point the nose down, and start to level off the ship a little bit and change the angle more towards the camera. Okay, let's see what that looks like. All right, so you see how that's working? It's looking a lot better, like we're actually trying to make it over this hill. And now again, I'm gonna point the nose down and we'll see. Yep, we're gonna go that way. Let's see here. And we're going down into this area, perfect, okay. So we're still kind of at that angle. I'm mostly okay with that. I think we can start to flatten out here. Maybe I just go to that next timeline. I flatten out the angle a little bit. Maybe I turn this a little bit, kind of flatten out this angle. Let's see what that looks like. Not bad, not bad. Okay. So now we're coming into the first alien ship. I may not keep the alien ships here. I'm gonna change those up a little bit, but let's angle up at it just in case we do want to. So I'm going to zoom forward and I want the angle to kind of be like he was facing that ship, right? Like he was gonna shoot at it. So let's see what that looks like. So he comes in, sees the ship, boom, boom, boom. Now he's going straight down to this area. And this is where we ended up, doing the animations to begin with. I really like this area of the scene, right? Kind of banking off this mountain here. And the turns, I like this. I could improve, I think, some movement in here. Maybe not. Maybe I'll leave it alone and kind of move on here. Okay, so let's zoom in. I'm going to zoom in by scrolling my mouse back a little bit so I can see more of these keyframes. And okay, we're looking at this. This does look great, obviously, right? It looks kind of like, angling in, kind of a weird look. What I want is, what you can do is I'll fix what I want him to look like in this next frame, and the tween, or making it kind of look better in between those two, may fix exactly what we want here, okay? So that looks like pretty good for that angle. It's a pretty tight angle. So let's see what this looks like here. Okay, I definitely don't like this, okay? So I need to angle the nose, I think, down toward the canyon a bit. And that's kind of hard sometimes to get that. Okay, let's see what that looks like. All right, so we're coming in, turning. I need the nose up a little more here. So I'm gonna go to that frame. I'm gonna whip the nose up. Let's see what that looks like. Boom, boom. I think the nose needs to go higher in this section because he's really trying to crank through this canyon, right? Okay. Okay, so this is a case where the nose is down in the next one, which maybe I don't want, right? That's probably the problem of what I did before. So I'm gonna crank the nose up on that side. There's something going on here in this section here, right? There's just not enough movement between those two. So he's got that climb there, that's okay. But this area right between the two, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. I know it's gonna be a quick area, but I need it to do more, okay? So that kind of stays the same. Maybe we turn in, what do you think? Turn that way, turn the nose more that way, and kind of get this rotation. Okay, let's see what that looks like. It's gonna tween strangely. So maybe it's kind of like we gassed off a little bit, like, tss, right? But this quick movement to the right, I don't like. I'm actually just gonna delete that keyframe and I'm gonna see what we got here. Okay, let's see what we're looking at. So he's banking around this corner. He's turning in a little bit, maybe to slow down and speed up. I'm kind of okay with that. Maybe the nose stays down a little bit. I don't know. It's hard, right? It's hard to figure out how you would be moving in space. Okay, so let's keep going. We can always change this a little bit. So I'm gonna level out a little more here too. So I'm gonna jump to that keyframe, and I want to level out the wings, level out the nose, level out the wings a little bit more this way. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Boom, boom, boom. He moves. Okay, now he's kind of straightening out and coming towards this scene. Maybe we're a bit more dramatic in the right-hand turn, because we have to straighten out and make up for that momentum, right? So let's see what that looks like. Okay, comes around the turn. Bzz. Yep, boom. Straightens out a little bit. Okay, comes around the corner. Now, let's move over to this other section. You could probably zoom out a little bit. Here's a great example, actually, of what that area looks like. So if you zoom into this section, I've got like so many keyframes on top of each other, not even sure what they're doing, right? So I'm actually gonna go in and delete a couple of these. Maybe I messed up something here, but we're going to zoom out more and see what we got, what we're dealing with. Okay, I did something wrong there. So maybe we can just move them in like this, so they're all kind of in the same area. Let's see if we messed it up here. Oh, got to zoom out quite a bit. Okay, so we had to zoom in a lot to see those keyframes kind of on top of each other. Okay, so I am okay with this. So he straightens out. I think this keyframe, we can probably make him bank up a little bit more. There we go. And let's see what that looks like. So he's still kind of looking that direction. And then we kind of need to turn him again, right? So let's take a look here. I think we'll go to that next keyframe and we'll straighten him out. Not that direction. Sometimes you just got to play with these till your brain remembers exactly what movements you're taking here. Okay, let's take a look. So he's straightening out. Boom, straightening out there. Maybe a little more dramatic. You know, I think we were moving pretty quick. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Boom. Okay, now we're gonna go almost purely straight. Let me zoom out more. Go to the next keyframe and let's straighten him out this direction here. And make sure, maybe put the rotation at 0. Okay. Since we're a little bit to the left, maybe we'll bank a little bit up on that side. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. So he's straightening out here. Yep, he needs to bank probably a little bit more in this next keyframe. So again, let me zoom out and scoot over. Let me know if this is making sense to you guys, because it's pretty easy to jump in here and just record this. I think it's just, it's a super easy feature and tool to be able to do this, which is really exciting. You can kind of do it real time with this preview. Okay, so now he's banking through this, and then this is kind of that, even more, right? Maybe we move him to the right a little bit. I think that's the ticket, is we need to move the position of maybe the entire player rig. Let's move him over a little bit. No, not up. There we go. Let's try that. So that way we don't feel like we're hitting that mountain. Okay, now in this next one, again, we need to bank to the left, right? He's going to go clear in this corner of this canyon. And so we need to, as he's moving that direction, have him bank to the left. Oops. So he's turning a little bit. Oops, not that way. We can do a barrel roll. Oh, I see what's going on. I'm still on the player rig. You can see how that really affects things. So we need to go to the player model, and then that'll bank that model. Okay. All right, boom, coming through here, turning. Again, flattening out and turning. I don't think he rises at all. I don't like that keyframe. I'm gonna kill that weird keyframe in the center. And then we're going to bank again because he's kind of slowing down into that turn. Okay. So let's adjust that the other direction. Let's see what that looks like. Just coming in, kind of wobbling a little bit, doing a quick bank this way, then quickly banking the other way. Now remember, he's probably going to be fighting some enemies, or maybe he sees some, right? The probe is going to talk about, hey, I see some enemies in this area. You know, let's be careful. And so he's probably already in like game on mode. He's ready to fight. So let's go this way. Now I need to bank the nose up for this one because he's going to have to slow down a little bit, right? So let's get that nose up real tight. Let's see what that looks like. So boom, boom. Maybe you're shooting enemies here. I feel like there needs to be, well, it's okay. I think we just need more. We need more of the wing movement. Now the banking is fine. He just needs to be, yeah, pretty aggressive on this side. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe even more nose. And we need to rotate it this way a bit. So let's see what that looks like. Boom, 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 boom. He's not gaining any altitude, so that's probably a little too high for the nose. So let's put the nose down a little bit. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I want to just play through this a little bit. I've gone pretty much over halfway to this. Let's see what it looks like, okay? I want to feel this, okay? All right, that feels good. Good movement coming in. Now, keep in mind, you can still move the ship around during this, so we're getting some communication, but we're seeing some movement of the ship, right? He's kind of moving around. He sees this coming. Now he's straightening out. He's coming down in. It feels more alive, right? Got these enemies coming. He angled up to shoot at that one. Now we're in the thick of it here. He's gonna bank off this area. I might adjust that because that's where the enemy came in first and it was like banking up to hit him, or I just, you know, continue to put the enemy there. All right, so this is interesting. This feels early. That feels early. You can zoom out here too and kind of see where you are in the timeline. Let's see. This is okay. It's a little slow. There's going to be some dialogue here. Probably not too many enemies in this area, but we're banking through this area, and then we're going to zoom forward here and get ready to fight these enemies. All right, here's the area we just worked on. So maybe there's some dialogue here. Watch out, or we're looking at all the enemies kind of swarm in, and then we're moving in this direction. Maybe we're shooting here too. Now we're moving fast, right? And then this is kind of where we left off here. Yeah, we're definitely shooting along this area. Okay, it's looking good so far. The pacing could be adjusted. I'm not going to worry about the pacing right now. We're coming into this area, so now between these two frames, we're going to have to flatten out. So I'm going to go to that next frame. I'm going to flatten out just a little bit, nose down. Maybe angle that, but kind of flatten out. Okay, let's see what that. Oops, I forgot to hit record. Let's go back. Okay, between these two, right? Go next. Always remember to hit that record button, otherwise you may just be wasting a lot of effort, right? So flatten out a little bit, nose down a hair. Okay, see what this looks like here. Boom. Okay, now he's still turning to the right, so let's angle up that ship a little bit that way. Let's see what that looks like. Yep, okay, that's great. That's a great transition. And let's keep on moving. All right, so he does kind of do a sharp angle still. I'm gonna zoom in this area because I see a second keyframe. I'm gonna drag that on top of this other one. Okay. So he's coming in, but I feel like, let's zoom out a hair. Okay, he's coming in. Now he's gonna level off, right? Let's go to that next frame and let's level him off a little bit. This way. Let's see if that looks. I feel like there's a lot of movement in this one area here. Okay, but he needs to start. I almost need another frame here, or maybe Maybe he just banks up to the right quite a bit like this. Yeah, that's probably right. Yep. Now we just need nose up. Oops. Let's pause. Come back here. Okay, let's go back to that keyframe. Let's nose up. Just got to slow down a little bit, right? Let's see what that looks like. So the nose kind of stayed up. That's fine. And then here we really need to adjust this, so. Maybe more, even more nose up. And maybe tilt it a little bit. Yeah, let's see what that looks like. Okay, then we're gonna straighten out here. So I'm just gonna go to that keyframe and see if I can get away with just straightening him out, even a 0, 0, 0. Let's see what that looks like. So big quick turn here, and a 0, 0. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. I don't like the transition right here, but maybe he kind of just slowed down. Or maybe we, what do you think? We could turn him in, like rotate this a little bit and kind of get him down and then rotate this. Let's see what that looks like. Because maybe that'll get us a better of a more interesting change. Okay, I mean, it's like, you know, you could always put middle ones in there to make it look a bit different. We're getting close, guys. This is gonna pay off. All right, take a little sip of coffee. Can't forget that. All right, now we're coming up on this area. I think we want to nose up a little bit. This is kind of a bit more cautious, but we are moving up. Maybe we also have kind of a left and right movement. He's still kind of moving that direction, right? And then let's in between that go the opposite a little bit, right? And nose down. So we got a little in-between movement here. This is probably too far nose up for me. All right, now we're looking at the scene, kind of the end game here. And we're gonna turn, okay, we're gonna bank to the right. So let's do a middle where we really turn in here and bank to the right. Nose is a little too high. Let's get the nose down. We'll see what that looks like. Maybe at nose toward us a little bit, right? And then kind of, yeah, maybe down a hair. See what that looks like. So he's coming into this cannon. He does a quick turn here. He's probably fighting some enemies. And we're gonna need to straighten him out. I don't know if it's a 0, 0, 0. It's probably gonna be a quick turn to the left, to be honest. Because we're moving quick and fighting a lot in this area. So boom, boom, boom. He's doing a quick turn here. Let's get him moving with a sharp, let's see. Yeah, we need a sharp winged. Yep, just like that. Let's see what that looks like. So to the right, he may be shooting some stuff. He's angling this way. Looks great. Now we need to level out and probably off gas some of that speed in the other direction. With the nose up. I need to kind of tilt the body down a little bit. This is where it gets hard. There we go. Got to figure out those angles. All right. A lot easier than doing it in code though, right? Okay. Now I definitely need to nose up on this one because we're coming to the end of this, okay? Let's nose up real tight here. Make sure that angle is pretty strong. And yeah, let's see what that looks like. I'd almost like to turn the ship a little bit. See what angle that is. If we can, yeah. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I think this is where we start getting sucked in. If you remember from the previous video, we're gonna get captured here. Spoiler alert, right? Okay, so he's like, I've lost control, I've lost control. Boom. Let's get some like wacky movement in here. Yeah, let's get some wacky. Let's go to the next frame and kind of just do something else a little wacky. Boom, boom, boom. And let's see if we can get him to straighten out. I want you to still be able to shoot in this area. So let's get the ship to straighten out here. I've lost control, lost control. Ah, okay. This is probably, I don't know. This full sideways is probably a bit too intense. Let's chill out that full sideways look. Okay. And now we've got this movement. Would be really cool is to kind of get just a rattle in this area. So let's do that and wrap up here. Let's kind of get, let's see which angle. Be like that. And maybe that. And that. And more centered. And rattle this direction. I'm gonna go back to that last keyframe and rattle the other way. I think it was that one, right? Actually, I was wrong. Okay, so that one is a, let's go this way. Let's go positive 5-ish. Okay. Let's do another rattle here. Let's go down. Another rattle to positive 5. Kind of hard to keep track of these, but another one to negative 5. Okay. See what that kind of looks like. Gives a little bit of a shake. Yeah, love it. Okay, I'm gonna do that with the nose too, because I think that is just super cool. Let's do 20 here, and the next one we'll do like 7, that's fine. And then let's do another like 20. Let's just go crazy, right? And then back to a 2, and then the next one will be like 12, and then back to a 0. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Love it. Okay, love it. All right, now all we have to do now is wrap up the end of this scene. That was super fun. I'm really excited about how this is going to turn out. I will show you the finished product soon, of course. There's a few more things I want to do here at the end of the scene where the ship, you know, experiences some weightlessness, and maybe there's some more effects that come into that. But let me know what you think. I was super excited to build this. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm glad to finally get this animation figured out, and towards the end, we could tweak this forever, and I might spend many more hours doing it. But I wanted to walk you through how I do that. So thank you for that. I'll put this in a playlist so you can see it. Subscribe, comment down below if there's some animations you think I should change, or what do you think about this end area? Like, what would you like to see happen for animations in this end area? Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.